All right, guys, welcome to today's episode. Today, I am joined by good friend, co-host of Locked On Astros, Brett Chancey. Brett, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. It's Father's Day weekend, so being a dad like yourself, it's always a good weekend where you get to celebrate with family and hopefully get some new toys in the process.
Right? Yeah, definitely happy Father's Day to all the dads out there and you yourself as well. It's going to be it's always a fun weekend, especially with Father's Day coming up. But there's been a lot of interesting things that have gone on this week within baseball. And first of all, I was going to say I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show with me. I know we've been kind of going back and forth on Twitter and whatnot, trying to schedule this. So I'm happy we were able to finally get together. But I'm like you, like myself, we're big baseball fans. And how much or how bad are you missing baseball right now?
Oh man, I think at times it's untenable. It's actually kind of quite depressing, to be honest. Because baseball is such a just a big part of who I am. Um, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I think at times it's affected my mood. I if I'm being totally honest, not that you asked to be my armchair psychiatrist or anything, but for me, because I'm such a massive baseball fan, I'm the guy that can't I can't fathom why someone would not like baseball. I just it doesn't compute with me. Just like when someone says, "I don't see how you can't watch, hours of soccer," and I'm like, okay, so we're on different sides of different things, but at the end of the day, reality is life is bigger than sports. It is a game. It's a game that our heroes, and we know they're not real heroes, but the guys we look up to, the guys that we kind of live our dreams through, the Justin Verlanders, the Jose Altuves. At the end of the day, it's about safety right now, and there's so many unknowns. I guess it's also frustrating. I think I've gone through a litany of emotions. Denial. um, I'm not to acceptance of no season yet, but the first step in getting help is admitting you have a problem, and I admit I have a problem with loving baseball. So there's something romantic about the game that I can't I can't exactly tell you why. I could tell you for hours what I love about it, but I can't fathom why I love it as much as I do. That would be like a 3-hour podcast, probably.
We definitely got time for it, but maybe we'll break it up in 2 episodes. But no, I mean I'm the same way. It's strange not to be able to turn on the TV and see a baseball game that is going on, or to hear you know George Springer hit uh, 2 home runs and drove him 6 RBIs that game. Had another leadoff home run, or Justin Verlander going 8 innings, had 14 strikeouts. It's just not one of those things that we just don't. Uh, we need it. We need baseball to come back. And I'm all for the safety. I think safety is one of those things that definitely needs to be addressed. But these guys are ready to play. These guys want to play. Now, it's up to the other half of the the organization to come together. Baseball's the players want to, and the owners almost seem like they don't want to. And right now, if you would have asked me 2 months ago, I would have been optimistic and said, "Yeah, baseball's coming back." But now, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist again. But I dearly miss it. I want these guys to be able to go out there and fulfill their dream of continue having the opportunity to play baseball. But I don't know. I keep seeing the KBO, and I keep asking myself the question: why can't Major League Baseball kind of follow the same suit?
No, yeah, definitely. I've kind of said all along that it's frustrating to see other sports, other leagues around the world. Um, it's tough seeing them play and then us not playing.
Oh no, I completely 100% agree. And I don't know if maybe they're doing something different that Major League Baseball hasn't really dove into, or maybe they just haven't got in touch with the organization. But it almost seems like if something that started overseas in that region is able to figure out a way to do this, then Major League Baseball should be right behind them, asking them what did you do, and how can we sort of emulate that. And that's the thing that's the most frustrating. I know the money side is also another key factor, because both sides keep going back and forth, whether it's prorated, fully prorated, 75% prorated. But I think the owners, and I'm going to side with the players on this. I think the players are the ones that are putting themselves at risk the most, and the owners. I think you mentioned this on your show, that the owners just basically sitting back in their comfy luxury boxes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the KBO, we know they don't have the big sponsorship dollars. They don't have the billions and billions of dollars wrapped up in each ball club. I mean, they don't have a team like the Orioles or the Royals that's worth like 1.2 billion. I mean, how in the world are the Royals worth that much, right? I mean, and that's one of the things that Manfred has done for these owners is that's what people got to understand is Manfred is their guy. Manfred has made them money hand over fist. And when you're a businessman, when you're not just a big venture capitalist, but you're in charge of multiple organizations and you have billions at your disposal, you're not just going to willy-nilly go play a season. Every game rip, if they played an entire season, would cost it was like $670,000 or something like that per game, without fans, without revenue, without sponsorships and all that stuff. And so it's understandable from the dollars and cents aspect. But this is what is kind of hilarious. I don't know if you had this on the docket to talk about, but the spring training camps are already reclosing because they're going to reevaluate and clean. And it's like, okay, guys, like y'all didn't have that figured out before you started going back to training camp. It just seems like the tail's wagging the dog, like they're an ostrich with their head in the sand. What other analogies? They have their heads up their butt. It just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of thought. Like if Rob Manfred cared about the game as much as he cared about shortening the game by a few minutes, we would have baseball. And I'll finish my point with this. Gabrielle from Locked On Red Sox said the other day, she goes, you have to have owners that genuinely love baseball. And she said, I really don't think some of these owners could give a crap about baseball. Like they're in it for the money. They're not in it because they grew up with their grandpa going to baseball games and they have this nostalgic connection with the game. It's putting more money in their bank account. And she goes, when it's a business, they run it like a business. They don't run it like, hey, we got to put something out there for our fans.
Oh no, I absolutely agree. And you know, it's I guess this is the fan side of me coming out, because if I were the owner or I owned a team, I would do everything in my power to make sure that I could get my product out there, because I mean, yes, you've got the players that are, you know the ones that are your product, and you got your fans that are one that are buying to come see your product. Now I get that aspect. I mean, I get that business side of it, but my question is, how can somebody who owns a team not have some sort of fan fandom towards baseball? I mean, especially with Manfred, he's not much of a baseball guy to begin with, but here he is, the commissioner of baseball. Now, I mean, I don't know if he's a lawyer or I don't know. I don't know what his background is.
Well, it's funny. We know he's a Yankees fan because
Yeah.
he said that. So we know at least the commissioner of baseball has a history of liking baseball and the Yankees, which I think is a conflict of interest due to current circumstances. But but right, I don't know his background before he got to baseball. I mean, I haven't. I've been very uninterested in finding out who Rob Manfred really is, other than I think the worst commissioner in Major League Baseball history.
You know, I I've kind of been around. I know the last commissioner was Bud Selig, and I kind of know how he got started in baseball. Other than that, he's been the only other commissioner that I've known that's actually, aside from Manfred, that's been a part of the game. Um, I know there was one, I think before Selig, excuse me, that banned Pete Rose from baseball because of his betting. But that's a totally different topic there. But when you talk about Manfred and you talk about his quote unquote his Yankees fandom, and you mentioned the conflict of interest, do you think that he kind of hid that letter for a reason? Is there?
The fact that the MLB and the Yankees both wanted it sealed. I don't know. So I just looked this up. He was a partner at a large firm, Washington D.C. law firm, specializing in labor and employment law. So
So
so that's why he was hired. And it basically, it says right here, his firm was hired by major league owners to provide legal counsel starting with the 1990 strike. So he does, okay, so he has a history of baseball. So for those of y'all watching or listening, you have to excuse me for my ignorance on the topic. So that kind of explains why he's in baseball now.
okay,
He's kind of, the owners are like, hey, this would be a good guy. He knows the law. But with the letter, Jared Diamond from the Wall Street Journal was on Locked On, and we talked to him, and he said, I don't think there's anything groundbreaking in it. He goes, I can't imagine that there is, but the fact that they don't want it unsealed and they claim it will be embarrassing to the Yankees makes you wonder what's in there. And my thing is people are going to speculate until that letter's unsealed, and people are going to assume, maybe not Yankees fans, but everybody else is going to assume, yeah, okay, they're hiding something. And at the end of the day, Rip, does it change anything? No. It's like me, my initial reaction was, oh, hell yeah, open that letter. I'm all about that. I'm about that bringing the Yankees down kind of life. But then I thought, wait, I'm just like the people that I'm bagging on for rooting for our downfall. Like, I don't want to be a part of cancel culture. Like I'm not into that. Now, if the Yankees did something just as egregious, if not worse, than the Astros, A, they sucked at it because they couldn't win with it, and B, okay, so they cheated. I mean, do we really think Major League Baseball is going to punish them if this thing's unsealed?
no, they didn't with the Red Sox. I mean, weren't the Yankees and the Red Sox both tied to something similar around
Yeah,
the?
no, yeah. Well, I mean, in 2017, it was the whole Apple Watch or iPad thing. They were deciphering signs, and it was a guy on second and whatever. I mean, Rip. You look into sign stealing, and I can't quote the source right now, but I believe 1976 there was, I believe the Yankees were using center field cameras from TV broadcast. There was no delay or anything to decipher catcher signs. I mean, the Yankees have multiple years where they were thought to have been using something. I mean, Joe Girardi just admitted on live TV that they were using a guy up in the back of the stadium. And so the problem I have, and I think the reason why Astros fans want this letter unsealed, is because the Astros have been made to be the lone purveyor, the worst, the most horrible. It's like we invented evil. It's like we came the Houston Astros and their cheating scandal, and how terrible and how awful this is for the game. I just don't buy that narrative. I think it's a bunch of bullcrap. But I think if the Yankees are to have cheated, I think if Manfred is complicit, I think if Manfred did hold stuff back, I think he should be fired. I mean, to be quite honest, you can't have a commissioner. Even now, if he was helping us, if there was a letter, like the Yankees got busted and there was a letter and they caught us cheating and they didn't, and then all of a sudden they unsealed it and they were like, well, Rob Manfred covered for the Astros. Fire his butt. Get him out of here. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? So sorry to give you the long answer there. I kind of give you the long-winded Chase Rabbit version, but man, I just think at the end of the day, if it does show that Manfred and MLB hit something, that Major League Baseball is going to have a lot more issues on its hand than a rocky CBA period in 2022.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to kind of, and you kind of already touched up on it, whether Manfred should be fired. I was actually going to ask if you think he should actually hand in his resignation if he's somehow tied into this. Which, I mean, if he hid the letter, to me, just in my mind, I think he's involved somehow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be something there. It's just like my son. Whenever I'm like, hey, let me see your phone. I mean, he's 11 going on 12, and he's like, no, and then or he has his phone and he quickly like cuts out of something and hands it to me. I'm like, dude, what were you looking at? Boom, I go to his history. I'm like looking for keystrokes, and I mean, like to me, if you want to hide something, you got something to hide.
Exactly.
And if they're worried about people being exposed, then black out their names. I don't care. But it's just baseball's its own worst enemy right now. It's so frustrating. Like we were watching soccer this morning. I never watch soccer. Like never. Like I take a good nap every 4 years to watch. Like I watch World Cup and the vuvuzelas like put me to sleep. I'm like the best nap I take. Like it's like once every 4 years. But I'm sitting there watching the EPL this morning, and my wife's like, "Where's that noise coming from?" Like, well, they just basically wire the sound into the broadcast. Like the players don't hear anything, but she's like, "That's weird. They're chanting, and as they go to score a goal, that the crowd heightens. It's almost like some AI going there." And she's like, "Wait, how are they playing soccer, but they're not playing baseball?" She's like, "You're only close to someone if you're maybe on base or you're batting." She goes, "Those guys are all over each other." I said, "I know. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's selective outrage. It's people are going to get COVID. I mean, people are going to get it. That may sound desensitized or harsh, but I mean, I've got a friend right now. Him and his wife got it. His wife never had any symptoms, tested positive. His symptoms, he said it was no more than when he had a cold. He said it wasn't as bad as the flu. It was like he had just your regular cold. He's been taking, certain over-the-counter medications and stuff to, fight it. And he said he's now got a quarantine for 14 days. His kids have not tested positive for it, have not shown any signs. But then I talked to someone the other day, and their 38-year-old friend, marathon runner, got it and died from it. I mean, it's just like, it's serious, but like, come on, baseball, you can't figure out how to open your facilities cleanly and have this crap done. Like the Astros had one player test positive, but then nobody else did because they took the right precautions. So apparently you can do things the right way.
Oh, absolutely. It's just how you go about doing it to ensure. And of course, the Astros did everything right. That's coming from James Click. He came out and said that we took all the proper precautions, and one player got it. And I mean, unfortunately, it's an unfortunate bit that he got it, but it goes to show that if you take the proper precautions, you can sort of eliminate the outbreak within the facilities.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you know, I keep going back in my mind with this whole COVID-19 thing, and like you mentioned, how these soccer players, how they're so close together. How's basketball going to do that? Because they're going to be close together as well.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, dude, you got to get the ball down in the paint, right? I mean, how's Zion Williams going to pass it? He's going to have to make sure he's going to hold his arms out and like, okay, are they going to put those? You know how they had that bar in Germany where they had those rubber tubes around people when they're walking around? I mean, are they going to have, or is it going to be like bumper basketball or like,
Either
where
that,
you can't like get within so many feet,
either that, or it's just going to be one, a 3-point contest the whole game.
Well, it already is a 3-point contest, right? I mean, that's one of the things that it's so funny. Whenever I coach basketball, I haven't coached last year. I'm not coaching again this year, but I coach 7th grade girls. And I tell them, if you want to learn to play basketball, do not watch the NBA. Watch women's Division I basketball. They play fundamental basketball. They shoot inside. They shoot outside. It's not about the three. It's not about the dunk. It's about fundamentals. It's about, can you dribble with your right hand? Can you dribble with your left hand? Can you shoot free throws? That's what it's about. And, I mean, that's why the NBA lost its interest. I lost my interest in the NBA a long time ago. That's like a whole nother topic, whole nother show.
Yeah,
but,
no, I'm right there in agreement. I used to watch basketball all the time, but now I may watch it once the postseason comes around, but other than that, no, I don't really have an interest for it anymore.
So tell me, from your perspective, do you think that we are seeing irrevocable damage done to the game of baseball long term?
Oh, absolutely. That's funny because I was on time to that next.
Sorry.
So no.
I'm somewhat of a sage and prophet. I do that sometimes when I'm interviewed, and I feel bad. Like I'm just like my thoughts start to like get going, and I can't tell how many times like, oh, that was my next question. So maybe it's some prophetic sage sense I have. I don't know. Maybe
no, that just means we're on the same wavelength.
There you go.
But no, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, I think the damage in baseball is started almost before this even happened, honestly. They're trying to come up with different ways to speed up the game, which, for me, I could care less. I can sit there, I can watch a 3-hour or 4-hour, 18 inning game. I can do that because that's just me. That's just the fan in me wanting to watch the game. I can go to a game and I'm locked in, but everybody else around me could be talking. So, but with everything that's going on within the last couple months, I think baseball is setting themselves up for an economic disaster that's going to be at least, in my opinion, 5 years. We go back to that strike in '94. Baseball really didn't recover from that until almost the early 2000s.
And then, right. And I mean, even though in 1998, Sosa McGuire brought a lot of fans back, it was, because I was trying to remember, I guess I didn't realize how unpopular baseball was just because in the late 90s, the Astros were so good, right? Mm-hmm. So our team was always doing something. Now they didn't make it to the World Series or anything like that, but man, they were good. The Killer Bees, the Astrodome. I mean, it was something to watch. I was at the last game in the Astrodome. I was at the last home regular season game against the Dodgers. I was at that game when they clinched the division title. That was a cool game to watch. And so I remember those games. I remember those years. Biggio, Bagwell, Kiminetti, just some phenomenal players. Hampton, Lima, just crazy good talent. There was a guy, I don't know if you heard about this. There was a guy named Sean Berry played for us. He played third base. I don't know if you remember the name in the late 90s. Familiar.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Sha- Sean Barry hit a ball one time during a game rip that in the Astrodome they had speakers that kind of hung over center field, like you'd have the wall and they hung over center field. The home run, well, it wasn't a home run, it was a ground double, hit the speaker. When it hit the speaker, it was still going up.
Oh, wow.
I believe it would have hit the top of the back of the dome where the scoreboard was.
Wow.
It was a shot. I've never seen a ball hit that high and that hard. And I saw a lot of home runs in the Astrodome. I saw deep ones. I saw, like I talked about on that live response to the Long Gone Summer. I was at the game when McGuire hit the 11th upper deck home run in Astrodome history, and it was a laser. Like, it wasn't an arching. It was like he hit it, and it was like someone put it with a jet engine of 1,600
Oh,
pounds
wow.
of jet fuel, and he just crushed the ball. Just flew right. But I mean, those years in the dome were just. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, for me, baseball was alive, but apparently for the rest of the country, baseball was still kind of limping back until probably 99, 2000.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of the things that baseball needs to get more creative with is fan interaction. I mean, you can do a lot of things while you're at the game, but figuring out a way to interact with the fans while they're watching the game. You know, one of the things that I don't, that I wish they would change. I mean, they have the their MLTV or whatever, and I know I've heard you talk about it. I've talked about it as well.
Mm,
Is the blackout thing? I mean, I mean, if I want to be able to watch an Astros game or a Rangers game or whatever, they have their own networks. But for example, for someone like me that, we stream all of our TV, uh, we kind of, did the whole cut the cord thing, cut the cable. But
yeah, we did too.
yeah, it's for guys like us that, that would like to watch the games, cut out the blackouts. If you're going to pay $100 and some odd dollars a year for it, I better get $150. I better get all my money worth in that product. And if I want to watch an Astros game, if they're playing, Seattle or whoever, I like to be able to watch the home or the team broadcast. I don't even think you can
Right.
I don't even think you can do that if they're out of town and you want to watch the home team. I don't even think you can watch their broadcast.
Now, we'll talk off air, but I'll send you a number to a guy you can talk to. We basically pay $150 a year for up to 5 devices, and
Oh,
I haven't missed a single game. And I
okay.
haven't missed a single bit of anything else that comes out. So I'll share that with you in DMs. I'll get you the guy's number. It's a
Okay.
phenomenal deal. You can watch AT&T Sportsnet. You can even watch NFL games too.
Uh,
So I'm just saying, it's a pretty sweet hookup. So I'll send you that info. But yeah,
okay.
you're right. I mean, unless you have a cable service, unless you know how to get around the system, or unless you go on your computer, and everybody knows you go to Reddit and go to the MLB live feeds and you can look there. But shoot, you open up your computer to possible viruses and hacking and things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, MLB, like, they're so moronic. They're just like it. It reminds me of when I was a youth pastor for 17 years. I loved being in ministry. I love doing youth ministry, but some of the most ridiculous things happened in committees. Like, I was at this one church and we had a committee on committees. And I'm like, what did they talk about? They're like, well, they regulate all the committees. And I'm like, so who regulates the committee on committees? Like, is there a committee on committees on committees? Like, like, it kind of, it was almost like The Office being lived out in real life. Like, it was so ridiculous. And in schools, teachers are like, why are we doing this? Like, well, the principal's under this pressure. Why is the principal under this pressure? Well, because the school board does this. And why does the superintendent say this? Because the school, and it's like And then baseball goes and does the same crap. And it's like, nothing makes sense. Baseball's like, but we need more fans. They're like, let the kids play. I'm
Right.
like, okay, why don't you let the kids watch the game too?
Exactly.
Like, 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 if I were to go into my neighborhood right now and I were to pull all the kids and I were to say, okay, if you play baseball, you got to stand on this side. All other sports, you don't play baseball, you here. All right, how many of y'all know who Mike Trout is? I bet maybe half of them would say, if that. Or who do y'all know? Hey, how about Mookie Betts, former MVP? What team did he play for? He plays for the Dodgers. What team did he play for? I don't know who Mookie Betts is. You know what I'm saying? They might know Altuve. They might know Bregman. But then you get all the kids together. You tell them, who is Zion Williamson? Who is Michael Jordan? You start naming who is Deshaun Watson? They all know who they play for. Who's Lamar Jackson? Like, they market their stuff, and just baseball just does a crappy job. And I'm censoring here. I want to say a lot of foul words, and I don't want to because I'm not like that, but they do a really crappy job selling themselves. Like, I've said this probably too many times, but when you're using Nelson Cruz and Mike Trout top golf videos of them hitting golf balls over the net as spreading your game, then you don't have anything to spread. You don't have any good news, right?
Right. Oh,
I
exactly.
mean, like, dude, I got a freaking weed eater and a blower for Father's Day. I took a video of that bad boy. I freaking posed with that thing. Like, this is like weapons. I put it on my Facebook, put it on my Twitter. I'm proud of it, dude. I'm like, there's not a person that knows me that is connected to my stuff that doesn't know that I got that. You know what I'm saying? Like I put it out there. Major League Baseball, they're like, you can see it, but only if you pay this much. And it's
Exactly.
like, what the hell, people? It's like you're hurting yourself,
It's almost like they think they're the best, but they don't want to actually go out and show that they're the best.
But see, that's the thing. The NFL is more popular than baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, it's insane. Like, I think they do a decent job when they have these urban youth academies and stuff like that, with the RBI baseball. And I think they do an okay job, but they could do so much more. They
Oh,
could do
absolutely.
so much more. So sorry, I digress. I start thinking of this stuff and my mind just starts, it's like diarrhea at the mouth sometimes.
No,
Sorry.
maybe that's something we should do. Maybe we should start to come up with ways to make Major League Baseball better. Because, I mean, who knows? They may listen, they may not. But at least figure out some way. It's almost like, kind of hard. I don't know how to explain it. But, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck right now. But
I will say this. Sometimes people do listen. I give you, for instance, and I'm not going to give the exact scenario, but okay. So it was about this COVID stuff. Okay, Governor Abbott had basically announced that it wasn't mandatory. That no, he said, you are not allowed to in your jurisdiction to mandate masks. Okay, well, right after that, the one of our local stations, Channel 13, I'll call them out. Channel 13 reported Harris County to mandate masks. They're going to mandate masks, and this is what they're going to do, and they have the authority to do it. And I was like, whoa, wait. The governor literally just said 10 minutes ago that they're not allowed to, but then they're reporting that it is mandatory that you wear a mask. I called ABC 13, and the executive producer picked up. I can't remember the guy's name, Andy something. I can't remember his name. He's like, yeah. I was like, hey, y'all are reporting like false storylines. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, dude, I've watched 13 since I was a kid. The governor literally said jurisdictions don't have the right to mandate it. Y'all are reporting that it is mandatory that you wear a mask in Houston and Harris County. I said, they don't have the authority to do that, but you're reporting as if they do. And then I swear, dude, 15 minutes later, Gina Gasson from ABC 13 said, wow, the mayor and And, Lena Hidalgo would like to make it mandatory. The governor has said that they don't have the authority to mandate the mask. So it is more of a personal choice at this point. I swear, dude, like they completely changed their narrative. And I told my wife that, and she's like, they didn't do that because of you. I'm like, I'm pretty darn sure they did, because it was right after I called. And I mean, sometimes you have to call. I mean, that's how we change politics, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you call your senators, you call your representatives. I mean, you tell them, dude, I'm not voting for you, or girl, I'm not voting for you if you don't toe the line of your constituents. Like, I vote for you because X, Y, and Z, and you're doing A, B, and C, and 2, 3, 4, and I don't want that. I want this. And if they're smart, they'll listen. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need to protest Manfred's office.
Ooh.
But then again, maybe, I don't know, maybe they would think we were making fun of. No, we better not. We better not. I don't want to get into that. I don't want.
I like where you're going with that, though.
Right.
But I mean, that's the thing with the news. I mean, all this week too, especially on Twitter, you saw John Heyman, who said, there's a deal in place. Then you saw Evan Drellich who said, no, there's no deal in place. And then you see Jeff Passan say, okay, well, here's some things, but it's not, 100% official. And then I think I saw too, Buster Posey. Yeah, Buster Posey is now doing his own, whatever you want to call it. Anyways,
Podcast?
Buster Olney. Yeah, his own podcast. But Buster Olney, sorry. But I mean, he's the one I was talking about. And then he's saying, okay, this is 60 games is the max and fully prorated salaries. But it's just frustrating because you have one that starts it and then one that says no. And it's like it ebbs and flows, it just kind of, it's, what do we believe?
They literally don't know their butt from the hole in the ground right now. They literally cannot decide. Like, you got to be smacked out of your mind to tell me that you can't come up with a compromise number between 60 and 70 games. Like, one side can't say, okay, like if I were the players, I would say, okay, we'll do 60 games, but you've got to give us whatever those 10 games we would miss. You got to give us 80% of that money in bonus incentive, like up front. You give that to us the day we get to training camp. We all get a bonus for 80% of what we'd make in those 10 games. Owners are like, no, 50%. Okay, 60%. And at some point, I think the players just need to say, you know what, we're not playing. Like, we've already, that's cute that they would say that. But at the end of the day, I mean, they just need to, someone needs to piss or get off the pot. I mean, it's so confusing. It's like there was this one episode where in SpongeBob where Patrick he was walking by this thing and he opened it and he's like, oh, what's this, Bob? And he's like, that's the ball of confusion. And he's like, what does it do? I think it confuses you. It's like, let me see. And he touched it. And he's like, and he went into a state of confusion for like 20 seconds. It was hilarious, right? I mean, that's what's happened is they've all like touched the ball of confusion and they're like they've lost their faculties. Like they don't know what to do. And it's just so asinine that they have this much incompetence. How do you have this many, Rip, how do you have this many people that are this successful in business, but have zero clue how to compromise, how to make a deal? You know what I'm saying? How? There's got to be someone.
It's like nobody wants to, I was like, you can ask your wife, hey, what do you want to go for dinner? I don't know. Well, and then you start, well, what about this place? No. What about this place? No. Okay. And then you kind of, it's like a circle. It's like a unicycle. You just keep going round and around. And it's almost like nobody wants to take charge. You've got the commissioner. Yes. Who is the guy who is in charge? And he has the ability to say, this is what we're going to do. But it's almost like he doesn't want to do that. He wants to try to appease everybody. And in this situation, is not going to work. And if the two sides can't, the way the analogy I kind of use is you're at a junior high dance and you've got the players on one side of the dance floor and you got the owners on the other side of the dance floor, but yet nobody's dancing in the middle. The music's playing, but nobody wants to go and have fun.
And Rob Manfred is the DJ.
But I mean, that's nobody wants to do anything. Yet there's an open table in the middle, and if it's either 60 or 70 games, I'm no math expert, but 65 seems like a pretty good number in the middle.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, that's that compromise that we're talking about here is come to an agreement. If you may not like it, the other side may not like it, but you know what? You're getting your product back out in the field to your fans, and those are the most important people that you have to take into consideration because they're the ones that are paying your salary.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think if Rob Manfred was the DJ at a dance where the owners and the players, I think this is the first song he would play. This just came to mind. See if it comes through on the speaker. Come on. Oh, of course, it's going to give me a 5-second ad or a 30-second ad. Hold on. There's the ad. So I can skip in 1 second. There we go. Here we go. Rob Manfred's like, all right, owners.
Let's go.
Come on, owners. You know you love the players. Right?
Let's go.
Come on, players. You got to dance with the one who brought you.
Exactly.
Rob Manfred, everyone. DJ. That is exactly what he would play. He'd be like, hey, come on, guys. It's like he would be wearing some awkward white leisure suit with a really frilly thing and like the big wide collar and, God, he would probably have a top hat and it would look really bad with the suit. And then all the players, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's just so obtuse and backwards. And I mean, there's a lot of people right now. Sorry, my nose is itching. Someone's probably talking about me right now.
No, I think mine's kind of it's the same way.
But it's like when I don't like to hear people say we shouldn't have baseball at all because it's a pandemic and it's bad, blah blah, and all that stuff. I get all that, but it's almost like, okay, well, you know what? Let's just say we're not having it because of the pandemic. Let's just settle it. But if you do that, if you cancel it, what happens to these players' money?
Right. Exactly.
Will they ever get it? Are they guaranteed to get paid even if they don't play?
I'm always wanted. Hey, if I go to work, I mean, yes, I expect to get paid. Nobody wants to work for free. Now, in this situation, you're kind of, even though it's not your doing of not going to work, that's a whole nother story. Now, my thing is, if say the season is completely canceled, like those free agents that would become at the end of the season, George Springer, Mookie Betts, was Josh Reddick, or a couple, all the free agents. I think what they should do is the team should offer them a 1-year deal for 2021. Because I'm going to use the example of Mookie Betts because he's probably the one that is going to be wanting the third top salary behind.
Oh yeah,
Trout.
Oh yeah, he's going to want a top 3. Yeah, he won't get Trout or Harper money, or even I don't know if he'll get Machado money, but but this whole thing is hurting the value of those contracts, because now baseball is devalued. It's kind of like inflation. When you print too much money, the dollar value goes down.
Right.
Well, when you devalue a product, right? For instance, baseball cards. I was sitting here thinking the other day, I was like, gosh, I've got a pretty good stack of rookies that I've started, pretty good collection of these young stars. Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Kevin Biggio, Gleyber Torres, Forrest Whitley, all these, Fernando Tatis Jr., all these really hot, young rookies, this Gavin Lux kid with the Dodgers. But if they don't play for 2 or 3 years, they're not able to play, like, the value intrinsically is going to go down.
Right.
The value of baseball is going to go down because the sponsors aren't going to be there. The advertising's not going to be there.
Unless you're Turner Sports.
Well, yeah. Like, what is that? Like, how do you sign a multi-billion-dollar TV deal and then tell the players, yeah, we can't figure out how to pay you. Like, we're losing money. Like, what? Like,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we have these deals that are going on behind the scenes, but yet we can't come to an agreement with a season.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, baseball. That's the frustrating thing too. That is, the opportunities have been there. Unfortunately, they've all been made public, which another thing that irritates me is shut the door, talk about it. I mean, and then
don't come out. Yeah, hey, so there was a guy, and I won't say what church it was, but there was a local church years ago, and I don't agree with this at all. I was a youth pastor for almost 20 years, and he was taking an offering, and he said that God gave him a vision for the certain amount of offering, and he literally had someone, I'm not lying, someone locked the doors to the sanctuary until they came up with a certain dollar amount.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's what they need to do. Throw them in a room, lock the door, say, we'll feed you through this little slot in the door, and you're not coming out until you decide something. I mean, plain and simple.
I mean, I'm Catholic, but when they go to when they go into conclave,
right,
and to elect a new pope, I mean, they lock themselves in the Sistine Chapel, and when they have one, they let the smoke out and whatnot, and they're, that's how everybody knows. If they don't, then they let black smoke out, white smoke if they do. But it's almost like you need to take that approach to baseball: is lock the doors, get yourself a comfy office, throw some cots in there or something, sleep on, and get after it.
Yeah, definitely. I just thought what kind of visual that would bring if they went to the Sistine Chapel and the Pope's like, hey, because the Pope's kind of getting everybody's business these days. He's like, hey, baseball, come here.
Yeah, exactly.
You see that? Just go in there, look at this really cool thing out in there. Okay, lock the door. You got one guy to start the smoke in there. All right, y'all decide.
Yeah.
So, but hey, I am gonna have to kind of wrap things up a little bit.
Yeah, no, we kind of went a little bit longer. We got a little longer than
but it's a great conversation, and at least we have this. At least Major League Baseball is giving us stuff to talk about. So
exactly.
There's that.
Exactly. But hey, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Where can everybody find you at?
Yeah. Okay, so if they go to Twitter, go to H-Town at H-Town Wheelhouse. If they go to at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter, they can go to. I'm also can be found at Locked On Astros on Twitter. I'm co-host of Locked On Astros. Eric Heisman is our first chair. your daily Astros podcast, and then Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and now YouTube. We're slow starting on that right now, but we're making our way. We got stickers you can buy, we got T-shirts, we got hats at Stros411, and our whole thing is always positive, always Stros. So we try to be a positive social media outlet as opposed to a lot of the negative stuff we see. So that's where you can find me. I love baseball. If you want to inbox me or DM me anything, any messages about the show, about Stros411, about Locked On, let me know. I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, Brett, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely have to do this again soon.
No, yeah, Rip, and tell us where we can find you, because I know I'm going to be throwing this up on the Stros411 page. Tell the people where they can find you and where they can find your podcast.
You can find me on Twitter at RipGriffin2. The podcast is The Rip Griffin Show. You can find it on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Google, or Spotify. I do have a website, theripgriffinshow.com, so you can find all the podcasts there. Starting to do a little bit of blogging, so I put up an article on there. But and then also too, I've got my own YouTube channel as well at Rip Griffin. So I'm gonna put this up there as well. So, but yeah, we'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun. I always love talking baseball, and this probably helps my family because I think they get tired of me talking about it. So it's a good little outlet for me.
Exactly. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you soon.